Wanted to record a video that would show how to access the proper web portal to administer the OGT. So there's a number of steps to this. I've outlined it kind of in writing in an email, but there are definitely some scenarios that are easier to kind of talk through and visualize. So if we look at the email, we'll skip the first part. I mean, I'll just quickly go over it. First step, if you're going to schedule someone, just send that message through Slack to Kate and Spencer. Also, if someone's come in to take the OGT or multiple people on a given day have come in and actually shown up and taken the OGT, let Kate and Spencer know who those folks are so they can mark it off in the spreadsheet accordingly. So that's one piece. But kind of drilling down into the mechanics, I'd like both of you to have access to it's called the TIDE system. So you can both administer the OGT and, whenever a student comes in, you just have the knowledge of how to run the dashboard as well as where to find the student's SSID, how to get two different sessions going, meaning maybe somebody's taking math and a person comes in slightly later and wants to take like reading, just as an example. So how do you get multiple sessions going? Okay, so like you to be able to do that. I'm going to show you how it can get done. To access the test administration portal, you'll go to this website. So I'm going to go ahead and actually click the link that I put into the email. That will pull up this this area. Okay, what you're looking for, and it says this in the email, when you land on this portal airast.org piece right here, you're looking for the TA interface. Okay, when you go to the TA interface, you'll come to a login page. I've got my login in there. Okay, so you're going to say, well, I don't have a login. Right. I'm sorry, going back to my email, to get your login, I've sent both of you to your school email an invite that will allow you to create a username and password, and you'll be able to use that username and password where we just were. So please follow the link. It usually says like AIR, Air Testing Portal, or TIDE user account, something like that. I'm not sure exactly how the email, like what it will show up in terms of subject line or who it's from. Something like AIR or AIRS, plural testing, or TIDE, Ohio, something to that effect. So go there, create your username and password. Once you've done it, again, we're going to go to that Ohio portal, this link here, which will land us on this page. Once you click TA interface, it will land us on this page. My username, which is my school email, and my password are already in there. Again, if you would very kindly follow the link I sent to your school email and make your own, that would be great. And then we can be on the same page. I'll click secure login. And then once I've done that, once the page loads, I come to this operational testing selection. Okay, you're going to see things that's like, well, what is English language arts? I thought we just did reading and writing. You're right. These testing pieces, English language arts, mathematics, science, social studies, OELPS, that's not what we want. The only thing that we're going to look at is Ohio graduation test, OGTs, this kind of brown tone selection at the bottom. Click the plus key there, okay? Once you've clicked the plus key, it reveals a drop-down menu. These are the OGTs. I'm just going to pretend, let's say you have students coming in to take math. Check math. If it's only people starting at the same time that need math. Now, if you have one math tester and one reading tester, obviously click math and click reading. to have somebody later on down the line come in and jump into the test session using the same test ID typically is not possible. I will show you how to address that scenario momentarily. But the scenario we're talking about is simply having people come in at the same time and giving them access to the specific test or test that they'll need access to. And yes, you can do 3. Like if 5 people are there and they need all 5 different things, you can do that. And you can use just one test session ID to accommodate all of them. But if you only have math checked, and 20 minutes later after the test has started, somebody comes in, oh, I need to do reading. The reason you can't use that session ID is really simple. You haven't given permission within the session to do anything but the math, okay? It may not make 100% sense right this second, but it honestly isn't that difficult either. So essentially in my operational test selection, I'm going to, again, remember, not any of these, looking for that brown tone selection. I'm clicking the plus button. It gives me a drop down of math, reading, science, social studies, or writing, all 5 OGT options. I'm checking the box of the specific type of test that I want to provide to my testers. Once I click Start Operational Test Session, it gives me my ID number, okay? So now I would have, if somebody were testing, the ability to give them that session ID, and when they put in their first name and their SSID, their student identification number, they could test. But what would they have access to? Just the math, because that's the only thing I've authorized within the session. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and stop this session. Yeah. So that's how you get a session running, okay? Let's talk about where you would find the student's SSID. Let me also not forget to share, this is run on your computer. What do I mean? You want to run this on your laptop, not a student testing computer. You can't have a test session up and running and this administrative dashboard up and running on the same machine. So your school laptop, meaning the laptop you do work on and you look spreadsheets up to see where what tests the students completed or what their plan looks like, use that laptop to run this dashboard. At any point during the test session, you can open up other tabs if you need to. If a student comes in, you need to see how many tests they've completed or look at a plan. The testing dashboard and other applications can be running simultaneously. The idea, though, is that you do not, under any circumstance, shut the test session tab while a student is testing. If you do it, it will pause their test and you'll need to load up a new session. Sometimes just out of impulse, you may have a bunch of tabs running and you would inadvertently do it, but it's really, really important, and I can go over this in person, not to shut that tab until someone is 100% done with testing. It will pause their session if you do it. It won't, force them to lose all of their progress or anything too catastrophic like that, but it will pause their session, and you will have to create another session to allow them to keep going and complete their test. Certainly a big frustration on your end and in the student or student's end. So once that tab's up and running, keep running it until they're done testing. Okay, where do you get the SSID? Okay, again in the email. So we talked about, where to go to get to the TA interface. That's where we were just at. That's the test administration portal. We talked about not closing the tab once it's open. We talked about choosing the Ohio graduation test and picking the particular test that you want to create a session ID for. But how do we Okay, you've been sent through your school email. Okay, you've done that. The spreadsheet, this spreadsheet contains all the student SSID numbers. For whatever reason, this didn't turn into a hyperlink. I'm just going to grab this URL and we're going to copy, and then I'm going to paste this. I'm going to close. I'm going to close this tab. I know I said don't close the testing dashboard, but since we weren't testing anybody, it's not a big deal. I'm going to exit this tab. Exit this tab just so this is 100% visible. That link that I sent you will bring you to this spreadsheet. Okay. The spreadsheet is called OGT Pre-ID. Okay. This OGT Pre-ID spreadsheet, if you look on this, okay, it has a bunch of information that won't be relevant to you, and that's completely fine. But the key is the student's SSID, their student identification number. Okay, the ADP and the 6 numbers that follow ADP are on here. If you, well, to quickly find it, hit Control and F, and you will be able to find any student that's scheduled for testing. I'm just going to do Janetta Franklin. Janetta. Okay, so let's see. I think she's here. Yeah, Janetta Franklin is here at the bottom. I would just scroll, find her SSID. Her SSID is right there, the ADP 180504. That's how you find somebody's SSID, right? So you need their first name, that you need their SSID in order to get rolling, and then you need the session ID. Okay, remember the session ID is generated when we go to the TA interface. Okay, so when you know you're going to have 3 students coming in that day, it's wise, and I know you both are very proactive, to look their name up in this OGT Pre-ID spreadsheet, find how their first name is spelled in this because that's how it needs to be entered into the system, and then find that SSID ahead of time. So when they come in, all you need to do is launch the session to get the Ohio dash 4-digit, 2-digit number to begin. Okay. So again, SSIDs can be found for each student on this OGT Pre-ID spreadsheet. If for whatever reason you've searched and searched and searched, can't find it, message Chase. Either he'll help to find, what the SSID is, or if it hasn't been created, which is rare, but it happens from time to time, he can go ahead and make that for you and send it to you, or ask him to please send it to you. That is how you get the SSID. So student's first name, the spelling and everything will be in here. The SSID is in here. The session ID, remember, that's by going to that AIR or TIDE portal, clicking on the TA interface, and choosing the particular test that a student needs to complete, the particular OGT that a student needs to complete. And on your teacher laptop at school, you'll run that session dashboard, and you'll have the Ohio number that goes in to help them begin their test. I do want to show another thing. So that's SSID. That's how you get a session going and how you find the student's first name. And I realize sometimes their first name in this spreadsheet may not be how they spell it. We have to go off their driver's license. If there's a discrepancy in the way they normally spell their name versus what's on the license, then, for better or for worse, we have to put in what's on the license, just because that's how the state cross-checks identities. So if there's an issue and you're attempting to log in and it's saying that the first name's not recognized or the SSID is not working, again, just let us know. Just let Chase know. He'll try to toy with the SSID or generate one if there's not one, or see if it's a problem with the first name, how it is in the system versus what you're attempting to put in, and troubleshoot like that. Okay. I'm going to close this SSID spreadsheet, or at least one of the tabs, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to that link that gets us to the Air or Tide portal. Okay, I'm going to go back to this, which I showed earlier in the video. Okay, so we're back here. And again, I'm going to click on the TA interface. TA is Test Administrator Interface, or that's what it stands for. When I click that, and again, please generate a username and password for yourself. Okay, this is good that this actually happened. If you get this, important, the pop-up blocker is turned on. Here's what you do to solve this. You go to the link that's above, you click it one time where you turn that link blue. Once the link is blue, there's a thing that has a little red X in. It looks like almost a calendar with a red mark in. You click that, and what it says is pop-ups blocked. Usually that's a good thing. But what we want to do is always allow, because it's saying, hey, if you don't do anything, we'll continue to block things that pop up on this web page. Since this is from the state of Ohio and it's secure, we're going to say always allow pop-ups from this site. So we're going to change it to always allow versus continuing the block and click done. You're going to think, oh, that didn't work. Again, make sure the link is highlighted and hit your enter or return key one time. And now, I'm sorry, I don't know, I think my mouse inadvertently jumped there, but it did get me to this operational test selection menu again. Okay, just to reiterate, under Ohio graduation test are the tests that we want to choose. If we have a student, and again, we'll pretend, if we have a student coming in to do reading and we start that test session, we've got a test session only for someone doing reading. If somebody comes in a few moments later or an hour later and needs science, and you try to use this test session with them, it won't give them access to science. It will only give them access to reading. What has to be done is you've created two tabs when you have the TA interface open. You have this tab open as TA interface and a number of other things. And you also have your test session open that is running the test administration for somebody doing reading. So if somebody, at a different time needs a different subject, what you have to do is go to TA interface again. You'll click TA interface, and what you'll want to do is start a different session. You can input your session ID and try to re-begin it. I don't do it because it's only set for reading. But if somebody comes in at a different point, needs a different section, you're going to choose the option that says start a different test session. When you choose that option, now you have the ability to choose a different selection, let's say social studies. When you click that and hit operational test session, now we have the Ohio 60 FO whatever session, and then on the other one we have the Ohio E631 session. One's doing social studies, the other I think is doing math. Okay, that is how you have multiple test sessions going for when people come in at staggered times and are going to work on different areas of testing. Okay, when you start a group concurrently, you can just check, hey, I want to give access to reading, math, and writing, whatever it is. You would check, and all those people, if they're going to start at the same time and you've covered the test that they're going to work on, can use one singular ID. But if you start the test session at one time and you don't have the particular testing type checked off that somebody needs, and someone comes in at a later point, you will need to start a second testing session. Okay? I know that can be a little bit overwhelming. This is a lot of information. I'll be glad to go over this kind of bit by bit and in person, but I wanted to give this video to give you a jump start on kind of having a basic understanding of how all this works. I'm going to stop all these sessions. Okay. And of course, when someone completes the test, you want to be able to stop their session by hitting the little stop sign button. Again, only when they are fully complete with the test and it's been submitted on their student computer would you do that. You would not close the tab. You would not hit the stop button until they are 100% complete. Okay? So that is a lot of information. I'm going to exit on that. And a lot of steps, and I know this, but at least it gives a jump start on really understanding how the TA interface, the test administration interface for OGT works. So you can easily give this without needing to connect with really anyone. It can just be done whenever a student would need to have it done. All right. So that is not everything we covered was spelled out in the email. That's why I think the video is really important. But I did go over everything that we talked about there. We'll go over it in person too. So I'm going to add this video link in just a moment so you can watch this and go over these steps. And then we'll all come down and do a live teaching session and show you how to do this as well. Thanks so much.